Alright, so this is EDB150 Task 3 Marking and Quality Assurance, and I'm Emily Duncan. My number is N9153489. So for this assessment, I'll be referring to Chris Blundell, the lecturer for this unit, for all my information. So the purpose of quality assurance is to ensure fair marking across assessment, as well as assisting in assessing the task, how well it went, what needs to change, as well as work out what needs to improve to make the assessment or teaching better within the unit that's being taught. So basically, mostly ensuring fairness and that everyone is graded equally and assessed the same. Alright, so for steps in quality assurance, there's 4. We have establishing expectations, ensuring consistent understanding, comparing samples, resolving ratings, and feed forward. Alright, so for establishing expectations, basically it's ensuring that there's a clear understanding of the purpose of the assessment to make sure that when teachers are grading and judging this assessment that there's consistent and defensible judgments about the student's achievement that can be recognised within the piece and referred to and given evidence if needed be to justify that information basically. Also involves being open-minded and professional in your thinking and communication about that because everyone's obviously got different opinions and views. Number 2, ensuring consistent understanding. So basically is ensuring that everyone has a consistent understanding of the assessable elements and the difference between grades and how you would judge that, and ensuring that they understand what evidence should be given for different standards. So giving the difference between discerning and what's there, and saying like uses some, and looking at the evidence there and being able to refer back to give evidence for that, and ensuring that there's a consistent understanding between the markers and teachers within the classroom. Alright, so next we go into compare samples, resolve ratings. So this is linking the evidence in the samples to the standards that are on the criteria sheet and being able to give direct evidence for that, which you'll see in the next video. Our quality assessment session was mostly this, comparing samples, giving evidence, and the consistent understanding as well. So we did a lot of discussion about that, which you'll see in the next video, looking at the different terms used in the criteria and ensuring that people understand that and giving evidence and showing, like, reading out evidence to each other in where we think it was or wasn't doing what we said it was. And then basically it's reaching a consensus and agreeing on the grade that you've given them, or the standard, or whether you think they've achieved it or not. Which I also saw on my prac as well. Like, we marked assignments and we were marking with a teacher for a PE assignment who is a math background, not an English background, and the response to the question was a extended response, and his students had just given them the answer, which to him he's like, yep, that's an A, like the answer is what it should be. But to an English teacher, my prac teacher was like, well, it's extended response, that's not enough evidence. You can't give an A to a student that hasn't extended on the response like the question requires. And he was like, oh, well, that's not how I'd see it. I see it just as they've given me the answer and that's enough. And she's given students that had that kind of response a C. So she kind of was like, well, we need to work out whether you're moving up or I'm moving down, or whether that's enough. And we ended up having to get other people to give us feedback on that.
I do find it tough to drop this person.
Alright, so here is our video demonstrating compare samples and resolve ratings.
I think it's mostly effective. I don't think it's sustained use.
I could call it mostly like quite effective, like maybe a B plus, but because they do like at the end of the day, the majority of it maybe it runs on a little, but grade 8, and it's all there, it's all well put out, and then the conclusion thing is kind of the kicker, punting them down a bit, but I would still put that as a B plus.
I feel like an A student would structure that much better, even in year 8.
Yeah, there could be rewritten.
Yeah, yeah. They haven't edited it. They haven't edited that.
Yeah. Would you be comfortable with a B plus?
Yeah, B plus.
See,
I wouldn't give it
no, I agree. I would drop down to a B plus, but
yeah.
No, it's not an A.
To a B.
Yeah, it's not an A.
B plus.
Especially
B plus?
considering like the D student is
Yeah.
B almost. Like
Yeah.
we're this close.
Essential B.
Alright, so step 4 is feedback/feed forward, which is looking at the feedback from the students itself and from the quality assurance. Looking at the task, the results you got from the students, how well did they go, did they answer the question correctly, were they able to do that, did they learn the right material over the term to be able to give you that answer, and using that information and data collected to be able to adjust the task and improve it in the future so that your students can get the best outcome possible. So like even on prac, that experience where the teachers disagreed with the way that students responded, and so they were like, well, maybe we need to change that question for next time. So in compare and contrast, looking at that exercise and over prac, I think that exercise is very hard to compare with prac over the whole quality assurance process, purely because it sort of really depicts steps 2 and 3 mainly. So you wouldn't, like over prac, we didn't individually go through each individual criterion and make judgments on it and go, yeah, I agree or I don't agree with each student, because each teacher has their own class. They mark their assessment and then they just pick one from each standard and swap with another teacher and read over it and go, well, yeah, I agree, or yeah, I don't disagree. And then from there, they would just say, if they didn't disagree or didn't agree, they would look at the criteria and go, look, well, I think they've done this. Here's the evidence. And then they'd mark in a different colour, and they had a box on the front that they would write their own comments in, or write whether they agreed or disagreed on there. If they did disagree though, they wouldn't write that on the front. They would leave that blank and just write their own comments there without a specific grading, and then they would leave that for the original teacher to have a look at, reevaluate what they've done before they change it or edit it and put something in. So basically they just make sure that they're fair in crossing over, and then if they disagree, they kind of go through the process we went through during that exercise, and then adjust from there. Obviously teachers understand the task and stuff already, because they've discussed it and designed it originally, and then they go through that and mark it and double check and adjust the assessment from there. Importance of quality assurance. So it's important to make sure that students' assessment are assessed fairly, and that the learning of the students across the board is the same, and that the quality of learning is the same, and using quality assurance to check that with their assessment and stuff helps. Also, not only that, it makes it easier for teachers to see what's required, level of students, where they should be at. Strategies for making judgment, I would say, what I was told is that if you have an issue or you're confused, always talk to a teacher from the same subject and see what they think, get their opinion, get them to show you evidence from the past, get them to have a look. Maybe they can help you understand something that you didn't in what you were looking at, because that's your biggest tool and asset within a staff room and working with other teachers, is that if you're not sure, you've got someone else there that can help guide you so that you can get that. So yeah, there's my quality assurance. Thanks.